The cornerstone of nearly every remarkable zombies map lies within their Easter eggs. More specifically, the steps in those Easter eggs. Throughout the years, we have seen an abundance of great steps, from killing giant spiders in Zetsubo no Shima to blowing up the moon under Rise and Ascension, as well as a masterclass of storytelling showcased in Mob of the Dead. Unfortunately, alongside these triumphs, we have also encountered our share of lackluster Easter eggs and lazy storytelling. Because of this, I decided to rank every zombies Easter egg from Black Ops 1 to Cold War. My primary focus in evaluating these maps is on their Easter eggs rather than their boss fights, okay? Just wait one more video. There are 27 Treyarch Easter eggs, so let's begin with the worst Easter egg in round-based zombies, which is Classified. Whether you want to classify this as an Easter egg or not is up to you. Classified sets the record for being the only zombies Easter egg with a whopping 1 step. All that's required to beat the Easter egg is to get to round 150. Now on paper, it sounds like a great idea for the boys in the back who actually like doing that, but instead of Treyarch actually rewarding the high round community for once, the only realistic way of completing this map is, unfortunately, camping in a corner with your shield. Therefore, less than 1% of players were able to reach this round, especially with an engine like Black Ops 4 that would just completely crash all the time. The most realistic way to beat this Easter egg was through glitches, which most people ended up doing. Unlike every other Easter egg on this list, Classified caters to virtually no one and it has no law. Number 26 is Transit. Aside from Transit having 2 Easter eggs, it's not fundamentally stable. The way I see it, instead of having 1 bad Easter egg, this map just has 2 bad Easter eggs. All you're doing is either building the jet gun or praying to God that you and your team get EMPs from the mystery box, which makes it RNG based. To sum it up, this Easter egg is very short and nonsensical, and none of the steps even include progressing through the map. That's why the world record for this Easter egg is literally under 10 minutes. And this is the exact same case for the next ranking, which is Die Rise. In fact, almost everything I said in Transit completely applies to Die Rise, so I won't even go as in depth.
It's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous.
It feels like a chore to do, and there's no reward, so after about 3 rounds and maybe 5 minutes of looking around for random parts in the map, the only sliver of satisfaction you get for completing this simple Easter egg is fireworks. Not even the good fireworks either. They're the sparklers. They're the ones that your family uses last minute on 4th of July because the stores were all sold out. Or you live in New Jersey like me, and fireworks are illegal. Anyway, that brings us to number 24, which is Ascension. And Ascension is actually the first ever Easter egg, so I wish I could cut it some slack, which I technically can by saying it's barely an Easter egg, but more of a mini achievement. All you're doing is throwing a Gersh device, clicking 4 buttons, and literally just opening up the Pack-a-Punch. The Wonder Weapons, the Gersh device, and the Matryoshka dolls are actually really fun to use, and you can have a very fun time with this Easter egg. This is a perfect example of an Easter egg that doesn't need length or complexity to improve its reputation, although it's just too simple for me, and therefore it's at number 24. A step up from Ascension is Call of the Dead. By no means is the Call of the Dead Easter egg bad, but it doesn't have much to offer. Similar to most Easter eggs this early in Black Ops Zombies games, it was short. However, the simple steps made sense to the map, and it is a fun little side quest to do when you're bored. Bonus points for incorporating the map's Wonder Weapon into the actual Easter egg. Number 22 is Cold War's Forsaken. So 75% of it is the main setup of the map, and the other 25% is just the final lockdown and the boss fight. Now with that said, I couldn't see myself putting it below Call of the Dead and Ascension just because at least it has somewhat in-depth steps that involve progressing through the map. Overall though, it's very forgettable and you're just trying to obtain the axe and then defend yourself in the final lockdown, which I appreciate because it is the one part of this Easter egg that wakes you up and forces you to be on your toes. Now I know you were all waiting for Blood of the Dead to be on this list, and it is at number 21. Easily one of the most tedious Easter eggs in zombies. It feels unreal trying to complete this Easter egg, especially with super random difficult steps like the Ghost Bird and the Morse code. For most of this Easter egg, you're just trying to find items around the map that you can only see through your shield, which makes it so much less enjoyable and more of a task. It's just very difficult to appreciate an overwhelming Easter egg like Blood of the Dead's, especially after receiving some of the best quests from like Rise and Ascension, Garad Krovi, and even 9 in that same game. Some of the challenges in the Easter egg are actually pretty fun and it is pretty interactive, but I can't put it any higher. Number 20 is going to be Firebase Z, again from Cold War. Firebase Z felt lackluster, introducing new characters that we've never seen before and that we're just supposed to fall in love with. For the most part, this Easter egg only included opening up the map and completing simple rudimentary steps. I said for the most part because it did have one step in particular that was very frustrating and could have even ended in a game-breaking glitch. And I'm obviously talking about the Mimic step, where you would have to basically find 3 mimics around the map, lower their health down to essentially 1 HP, and then capture the mimic with your device. The thing is, mimics sometimes won't spawn, half of the time you'll end up killing the mimic trying to lower them to 1 HP, and the trap device always clings onto zombies, even though the game literally knows the step that you're on. Overall, it's a pretty whack Easter egg, and it did not have any narrative or direction. Number 19 is Alpha Omega from Black Ops 4, and it just doesn't have anything special. Now, the wonder weapons are a cool part of this map, the 4 elemental ray gun Mark IIs, and I actually do enjoy building and using them. Now, with that said, there are other steps to this map that are very dull and just unfun to do, whether it's trying to listen and input codes into random parts of the map, or even leading a Nova Crawler halfway across the map. However, I do appreciate the interactiveness in this map and how Treyarch managed to give a literal computer named Rushmore more personality than most Zombies characters. Coming in at number 18, we have Mob of the Dead. For those unfamiliar with Mob of the Dead's Easter egg, it basically consists of obtaining the Hell's Retriever, building the plane, and shooting skulls in Afterlife mode, and picking up different objects from the map. In fact, many people don't even mention this map's Easter egg when they're talking about the actual map because of how good the actual map is, but how poor the Easter egg is. Now, although the map didn't deliver with the physical Easter egg steps itself, it did elevate itself with immense storytelling. Number 17 is D-Machine, again from Cold War. Now, D-Machine was kind of sweet, but short. Aside from trapping a megaton in the underground laboratory, you're basically just building the 4 wonder weapons, and it doesn't help that every wonder weapon you have to build is basically useless aside from completing the actual Easter egg, and the only one that is useful is the first one that you get that's super easy to obtain. Now, number 16 is Revelations, and Revelations is a map that's Easter egg I wanted to put a lot lower, but I'll just explain myself. So, unlike most bad Easter eggs low on this list, Revelations is very long. Now, an Easter egg's length doesn't necessarily define its reputation, like I said earlier, but it does in a map like Revelations. This Easter egg isn't just tedious, but it makes no sense. Finding literal bird eggs serves no apparent purpose, and even utilizing the summoning key, which should be a significant step, but it fails to advance the storyline whatsoever. And let's not forget about the rock step, where you aimlessly shoot rocks scattered across the map, hoping to stumble upon the one that you're supposed to shoot. It's regrettable that for the final DLC map of BO3, and essentially the last map in the true Ether storyline, Revelations turned out to be an underwhelming Easter egg experience considering the immense potential it had to offer. Narrowing down into the top 15, we have Dead of the Night from Black Ops 4. The map flow and design was pretty decent, and the wonder weapons actually served purpose, and the story was surprisingly good. The cast of new characters isn't terrible, even though we barely knew the Chaos crew at the time, and they were already throwing in another group of characters at us. I'm not sure if we were supposed to know that this was a prequel right away, but that ending cutscene definitely explained it a lot for the Chaos story. The Nosferatu vampire spawn rates were atrociously terrible when I completed this Easter egg, but I guess the boss fight does pick up for that. Coming in at number 14 is Voyage of Despair. After having recently gone back and playing all the Black Ops 4 maps much more thoroughly, I can finally appreciate Voyage of Despair. Yes, the clock step is very annoying to do, but there are more rewarding parts of this Easter egg, like the iceberg step, and I always love going through the planet step. Shooting planets out of the sky is one of the most badass things you can do in a game. I appreciate the lockdowns because they keep me awake throughout the Easter egg, and all of this happening while on the Titanic is a pretty sweet atmospheric touch. One of the coolest boss fights to end this Easter egg is super dope, although I'm not a fan of that ending though. Now, number 13 is going to be Zetsubo no Shima from Black Ops 3. Zetsubo knew what it wanted to be right from the get-go, and I respect that. Unlike Revelations, ZNS told a story, and it went through with that story. Is most of the Easter egg fixing an elevator and growing plants? Yes, but they actually serve a purpose in building the wonder weapon. Not to mention the whole map is a forest that contributes to Takio's origins, and we knew what it was portraying from the beginning in that finding Ultimus Takio to inevitably fight him to the death. There were very cool moments in this Easter egg too, like fighting a giant spider boss fight just to obtain a singular part to upgrade the wonder weapon. Number 12 is Tog der Toten. Tog definitely did deliver in some parts. For example, the Samantha Music Box airstrike. It was fairly simple to achieve, and by no means did Treyarch even have to add this, but they did. Most of the steps actually contributed to the map, like, let's say, the paint step, and it was a very well-rounded Easter egg. Although it does have quite a few flaws, overall, Tog der Toten has an enjoyable Easter egg. This is in despite of an underwhelming finish because there really isn't a boss fight to this map. Now, number 11 is going to be Shangri-La from Black Ops 1. Shangri-La is not only an underrated map, but it also has a very underrated Easter egg to go along with it. It does have a touch of RNG with trying to get their baby gun out of the box, and escorting the napalm zombie can be a little tricky if you don't have good communication. Speaking of which, communication is really what brings this Easter egg to life because you need 4 people to beat this Easter egg. The hardest part of it is getting 4 players to press the damn Eclipse buttons all at the same time. Now, number 10 is going to be Outbreak. I'm not sure if Outbreak counts as a round-based map, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even counting its second Easter egg. It just felt like a runner-up to the first one. But I absolutely adore this Easter egg for what it is. It's so different every single time I play it because there are multiple maps that you can spawn on, and depending on that map, everything will be different. The beginning is pretty slow, trying to find hidden radio signals and monkey bombs, but once you hop in that elevator, it is so sweet. The thought of a point of no return in an Easter egg just blew my mind when doing this Easter egg, especially since it's very challenging. Not just like one or two simple steps and then boom, the boss fight. No, you have to go through some intense challenges to get there. I remember in my room one night alone in the dark at 3 a.m. beating this map. There were like 40 mimics all following me in one room.
Get away from me!
The boss fight as well is really challenging, and the difficulty is such a throw off from every other boss fight in this game. Now number 9 is going to be Buried. So the Buried Easter egg is pretty challenging to most players, but it's still really fun with a lot of great moments. The sharpshooter step is by far the hardest part of this Easter egg because you need all 4 players to be on their A game when it comes to quickness and accuracy of shooting the targets around the map. And yes, I said 4 players because most maps with Easter eggs at this time were only doable with 4 people, which is pretty unfortunate, but it's just the way Treyarch rocked 10 years ago. Number 8. 9. 9 has its highs and lows. For example, the beginning of this Easter egg does include a lot of waiting. Whether you're building the wonder weapon trying to heighten your affinity, or doing one of the multiple steps that require doing nothing for multiple rounds, it is kind of boring. And the worst step in this Easter egg is definitely the first one, trying to sort out a singular skull out of hundreds in the Pack-a-Punch room. But the second half of this Easter egg is where it really picks up. The totem pole step, where you have to kill all of the bosses in different orders, brings about a novel challenge to the map, as well as the final fight before the boss fight, where you kill dozens of gladiators and other bosses. Even though I'm not weighting the boss fights to a great extent, the elephant boss fight is probably one of the coolest and fun to beat. That brings us to number 7, which is Shadows of Evil. The Shadows of Evil Easter egg is very fun to do for a multitude of reasons. Getting and upgrading the sword is a very fun way to start the map, building the Civil Protector, and finally guarding the flag with your entire life brings the thrill to an Easter egg like Shadows. It brings on many great aspects of Easter eggs in my opinion, such as simply killing many zombies for souls, and progressing through the map while achieving essentially everything there is to do in the map. This Easter egg requires 4 players, which is very disappointing. It made no sense since every step is completely doable solo except for the very last one after the boss fight. Speaking of which, if you don't have good communication between your 3 friends, it is virtually impossible to finish this if they don't know when to shock the electrical boxes. But hey, it's 2023, who in their right mind is queuing up in a fill lobby for Shadows of Evil? Alright, we have to talk about number 6, which is Origins. The entire map of Origins really revolves around the Easter egg, and it is pretty controversial to many people. If you don't normally do the Easter eggs or just haven't done the Origins one, it's reasonable why you might not like the map in general. However, more specifically toward the Easter egg, once you get the stabs, it can be a total blast. It also has intriguing steps that correlate and progress with the map, all while telling a fascinating story of a little lost girl and Samantha, who you are trying to free. Closing in on the top 5 now, we have Moon. The Moon Easter egg holds a notorious reputation thanks to its highly memorable steps and unparalleled replay value. The Simon Says step alone has become an iconic hallmark. Now, some may find the steps slightly repetitive, and it's understandable why many don't entirely embrace the Easter egg, mainly due to its abnormal reliance on RNG. For instance, you often find yourself hoping for Gershes from the mystery box, followed by QEDs, only to be back in the loop for Gershes again. Now, despite this, the story of Richtofen being trapped in Samantha's body is interesting, and it is really important to the actual storyline. The most remarkable step of this Easter egg is after you fill up the pyramid and you can watch the crew successfully blow up the moon. Or unsuccessfully, most would say, as we manage to end up on transit. Number 4 is Cold War's Mauer der Toten. The Mauer der Toten Easter egg truly shines as the standout Easter egg in Cold War. Anyways, parts of this Easter egg like building Klaus are always so much fun to do, and in my opinion, the Easter egg is very well designed, leaving little room for disappointment. Stopping the train is exciting, and the final step where you have to follow the light in the sky and then kill the horde to access the uranium right before the boss fight, that's also really good. Top 3 now, honestly they're all interchangeable, but number 3, I had to give it to Gorod Krovi. Gorod Krovi has one of the most challenging and storyline driven and intricately built Easter eggs of all time. Through no part of this map are you just running around cluelessly trying to find or shoot random parts, and you really start this Easter egg right away on this map. It fits the map perfectly because you could be playing Gorod Krovi, complete like half of the Easter egg, and not even know it, because some players like obtaining the egg, or the gauntlet and the dragon, and so much more. The trophy step in particular adds an extra layer of enjoyment and challenge, introducing captivating elements like the Mangler step and the nuke step. The biggest highlight of this map is definitely the boss fight against none other than Ultimus Nikolai, an older playable character. Coming in at number 2, we have Ancient Evil from Black Ops 4. That's right, guys, we were so close to seeing Black Ops 4 actually win something.
Where's Rick?
I'm
Don't care. Where's Rick?
In all seriousness though, Ancient Evil stands out as an absolute gem among Easter eggs, and it honestly really is a tie with number 1. Achieving the gauntlets on this map is the most fun I've ever had actually building 4 wonder weapons. This Easter egg takes timing, patience, and skill. That's why it's so satisfying completing a step and then going on to the next. It's remarkable how the gameplay and tasks intensify progressively, adding an extra layer of satisfaction as you navigate through the Easter egg's intricate web. The boss fight arena is so dope, and the actual fight doesn't require much knowledge except for the island hopping part. Ancient Evil combines an exceptional Easter egg with a mesmering map design, creating an unforgettable adventure that is both visually stunning and totally engaging, which brings us to our number 1 spot in Der Reisendrock. If you want the best Easter egg experience, whether solo or co-op, Der Reisendrock is your map. It has everything a zombie player could ever want for an Easter egg. An amazing setup to start the construction of 4 unique wonder weapons in the elemental bows, a timed wisp step that keeps you on your feet and forces you to open up the map to progress. You teleport back in time to fix the storyline and interact with several levers to launch Old Dempsey into the courtyard, and a hectic final step to clinch yourself into the boss fight. Now, the brilliance of this Easter egg lies in its ability to incorporate elements from previous Zombies maps and enhance them to new heights. Just when you thought the conclusion of Moon couldn't get any more exhilarating with the Earth's destruction, the final step of this Easter egg involves blowing up the moon itself, all while telling a perfect story that is executed exceptionally well, serving an excellent introduction that seamlessly paves the way for the following maps to come in Black Ops 3. Anyways, guys, that is every Easter egg ranked from worst to first. If you stayed until the end, don't forget to comment and review my other ranking videos, or just browse through my channel if you want. Like I said, I'm going to be ranking the boss fights very soon, so stay tuned for that. I plan to have that done by